Hello everyone, welcome back to Kaushal Bioprep. In today's video lecture, we are going to talk about another topic, and today's topic is aquaculture. So, aquaculture is basically underwater agriculture. So, over the years, this system has evolved, and there is an enormous increase in the growth rate of the aquaculture, and that is basically because there is decline in the commercial harvest of the wild stock of fish and shellfish. And here I am talking only about fish and shellfish, but there are other aquatic organism that has been used in aquaculture. And now India जो है, it has been home for more than 10% of the global fish diversity for India. So India has increased the input of the aquaculture over the years, and there is increase in the commercial production and increase in the aquaculture, especially in the freshwater fish and shrimps. So in 2022, global aquaculture production reached approximately 130 million tons, and there were production of the algae also and animal products, and India has contributed a lot in this. Now, what is aquaculture and how it is important, that is our basically the whole point of this lecture. So we'll start with the advantage of aquaculture. So aquaculture is important source of the excellent quality protein and healthy oils, because you are basically rearing the aquatic organism. Now, a future of fish production is dependent on the aquaculture, because we selectively breed fishes which are important for consumption, and due to the production of fish at low cost, it can be supplied at an affordable price even to the poorer people. That is also very important, right? Now, cultured fish are safe for capture as compared to captured fish, because cultured fish are free from the pollutants as well as free from the diseases as well, right? Because there is a check, we keep on checking whether the fish is suffering from any kind of infection, so that fish will be discarded, it will not be reared. Aquaculture provides good quality of fish or other seafood for the growing population, increasing employment also, because in aquaculture industry there is a requirement of the people, right? So there are different systems of the aquaculture. So this basically aquaculture practice are classified in several days, and it depends on the different aspects and the situation which is involved in culturing practices. So there are some major important classification which I will be discussing here. So firstly, the classification is based on the basis of salinity. So what kind of water are you using, right? So there is freshwater farming, there is marine water farming, and there is brackish water farming. Freshwater and marine water, so you understand brackish water is the salinity is in between the freshwater and marine water, right? So यहाँ पे salinity कम है, यहाँ पे ज़्यादा है, ये कैसी है, medium salinity है, right? Then there is on the basis of intensity, so there is extensive fish farming, बहुत ज़्यादा कर रहे हैं आप. Then there is semi extensive fish farming, there is intensive fish farming, right? Then there is on the basis of fish species, this is important. So sometimes you only culture one fish at a time, that is the monoculture, but mostly there is polyculture, that is more than one species you are culturing, right? Then there is on basis of enclosure, so there is pond culture which is open basically, there is cage culture, there is pen type culture, there is raceway culture. So there are different ways of the farm basically where you are culturing the fishes. Then on the basis of integration, there is agriculture come fish farming, that means you are doing the agriculture, normal crops are growing, and then you are fish you basically doing the fish farming also. For example, you are having a rice crop, so for that you need a lot of water, and in that water you are basically rearing the fishes, right? So you are culturing the fishes, so this is a integrated system. Then there is animal husbandry come fish farming, so you are using the animal husbandry waste or the products for fish farming, okay? So this is the integration, and both these systems are very important, because in this case you are using the waste and other products in the other system, right? Now if you talk about aquaculture, we should know about the induced breeding system, because that is what we are going to do in aquaculture also. So induced breeding is a process in aquaculture where a mature fish is taken, and it is artificially stimulated to spawn in captivity, right? So you stimulate the fish to spawn to basically release the egg, right, through hormonal and environmental manipulation. So if it is a female fish, you manipulate it to basically release the eggs. At the same time, the male fish is going to release the semens. And why it is needed? Because many commercially important fish species do not breed naturally in a confined condition. जैसे आप उनको पॉन्ड्स में रेयर कर रहे हैं, टैंक्स में रेयर कर रहे हैं, तो बहुत सारी स्पीशीज़ हैं, दे विल नॉट बी basically naturally breed in that area. So due to the absence of the migratory and seasonal cues, because fish take that cue and then spawn, so you artificially give them that stimulation. So induced breeding ensure a controlled and predictable and large scale the fry production of the fish seed supply. So this is the small fish basically, right? So induced breeding is very very important. So what are the species that are commonly induced in aquaculture? So there is Indian major carp, that is Catla catla, there is Labiorohita, there is Cirrus mrigala, then there is Chinese carp, which include the grass carp and the silver carp. Then there is catfishes, right, Clarius. Then there is exotic carp, and then there is other species like trout, Jkpsc, right. So there are a lot of species which are basically induced for the aquaculture. Now what is the principle of induced breeding? So in nature, breeding is triggered by the monsoon flood, there is temperature change in the nature, and there is water depth and water current difference. So in captivity, these cues are mimicked or replaced by something called hormonal stimulation, and second is the environmental cues. In hormonal stimulation, there is administration of the pituitary extract or synthetic hormones to trigger ovulation and spermiation. Now pituitary extract का क्या मतलब है? So there is a gland in the body that is called the pituitary gland. This gland release a very very important hormone that is called the releasing hormone and inhibitory hormones. So there are two types of hormones, those are released from this gland. So this releasing hormones basically stimulates the gonad to release their hormones for ovulation and spermiation. So that is what they do. Either they use the pituitary extract or the synthetic hormone itself, right, which trigger the ovulation or spermiation. As per the environmental cues, so they stimulate rain, water currents, and temperature control in a confined space that mimic the natural changes in the environment. Okay. Now what are the hormone use? So in case of the natural or synthetics, in natural cases may they will use a extract of the pituitary gland, right, PG basically from the donor fish. So this extract is going to stimulate the production of further hormones. So you are just using the extract of the pituitary gland, like you are using the extract from a donor fish. So this extract is basically natural. But in case of the synthetic, you are using the hormones which are synthesized, है ना. So you can use the human chorionic gonadotrophin, which is HCG. You are using the Ovaprim, which is a combination of the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is released from the pituitary. This का analog आप use करते, this is synthetic. This is completely made in the lab. And dopamine antagonist use करते हैं. Then there is Ovatide, which is and Vova FH, LHRH analogs. So these are some hormones which are synthesized in the lab, and these synthetic hormones are safer and standardized and easier to store. So induced breeding may you are using natural hormones or synthetic hormones. If you are using the natural hormones, you are taking a mature fish, you are using a pituitary extract of the carp, the particular, because this fish is carp, and there is release of sperm or egg, and you are taking that, right. In the induced breeding, which is using the synthetic hormones, you are again taking the mature fish, but you are taking the synthetic hormones, and you are seeing the same thing. There is release of the sperm and egg. So the consequences of both are same. Now what are the steps in the induced breeding? So number one is the brood stock selection and conditioning. So first of all, you are selecting healthy mature male and female fish, and they are going to be around 2 to 3 years old for carps. Okay, I'm giving you example of carps. This will vary according to the species you are rearing. Then there is conditioning in the blood pond with the good feeding and water quality. So that conditioning का मतलब ये होता है you are keeping the fish in the farm for a while, right. You selected a very very healthy male female, and then you are just putting them into the water and letting them be there for a while so that they become comfortable in the environment. After that, there is hormone administration. That means you are injecting the required dosage of the particular hormone, whichever you are using, be it natural or synthetic. So it will vary according to the species, season and condition. For example, in Indian carp, you will administer around 2 to 3 mg per kg for female, right, and 1 to 2 mg for per kg for male. So this is the required amount for Indian carp, but again it will vary according to the species. The method is simpler. You are going to inject the hormone intramuscular injection ke through at the base of the dorsal fin. So this injection is intramuscular, so in the muscles you are going to inject the hormone, right? Now the timing, if you talk about, so timing is single or double dose, that depends. The first one is the priming, and then there is resolving. So there are two doses, right? Then there is spawning and courtship. So after the injection, after a certain amount of time, the breeders are kept in the hapas, which is the breeding enclosure in pond and tanks. Male basically chases the female, and there is spawning, the release of the semen and the eggs. Spawning का time जो है that again vary from species to species, so it is around 6 to 12 hours after the final dose of the hormone, and then depending on the species and temperature it can vary. After that, there is the egg collection and incubation. Because the eggs and semen are released, you will basically collect the eggs. Eggs are non-adhesive and semi-buoyant, so that means you will see them on the surface, right? Then collected, they are transferred to the hatching hapas. First you were keeping them on the hapas, which are breeding enclosure. Then you are collecting the eggs and then transferring into hatching hapas or hatcheries with water circulation, right? And then finally there is larva rearing. Hatched these eggs are basically, because these eggs are fertilized now because there were semens in these hapas, right? So you collected the fertilized eggs, now they are going to hatch and the fry will come out nursery pond में. Then the proper feeding जो आप इस fry को देंगे, उसके बाद जो है there is a formulated feed, right? Planktons है, infosteria है. So this is basically defined कि आपने ये feed एक fry को देना है, and after that there is regular monitoring for the survival, growth and diseases, and finally you have your adult fish from that fry, right? So this is induced breeding. What are the advantages? Simply advantage that this is a controlled breeding, right? So you are ensuring that the particular fish will produce their offsprings, that is ensured. So there is no dependence on the season or the river, because you are basically doing it in the artificial environment, but you are mimicking the natural environment use. Then it enable the mass production of the uniform and healthy seeds, क्योंकि जो अच्छी फिश है, हेल्दी फिश है, उसमें आप इंश्योर करेंगे कि उसके एग्स जो हैं आप कलेक्ट करें. And there is better hybridization, selective breeding possibilities, because you are selecting the most healthy male and female for this purpose. And this is useful for conserving threatened species via hatchery propagation, because some species cannot breed properly in the natural environment, and they are in the threatened category. So you take those species, keep them in the conserved environment, keep them in hatchery, and you propagate them with this method, right? But there are some limitations, of course, because it required skill handling. So not any normal people can go over there. No, you require skilled person which are aware of the things they are doing. So and especially when you are playing with the hormone, the wrong dose जो है that can even lead to mortality. So you need to be very very careful when playing with the hormones. So hormone cost a lot, this is also a very very important thing, and supply can be constrained. So the cost of the hormone is also a very important limitation factor here. Then there is environmental condition, temperature, water quality, that need to be favorable according to the species that you are using, and then overuse can stress brood stock. So if you are overusing overdoing the breeding, that is also not good for the stock, right? So there are some model developments for this purpose. So there is use of the synthetic gonadotropin releasing analog, as I have already shown you in the picture, with dopamine blockers for better efficacy. Then there is molecular technique to assess the gonadal maturity, because if you are stimulating the gonads to release hormone, they needs to be mature, right? If they are not mature enough, so there will be no spawning, so that you can check. Then there is cryopreservation of the milt for off-season breeding, right? So this the sperm of the male can be preserved in low temperature, that is cryopreservation. There is recirculating hatcheries to maintain the biosecurity and water quality. Circulation in the hatchery is very very important. Water needs to be moving. Then there is probiotic use for better larva survival. That is why I told you the feed of the larva is formulated, so there is probiotic in it, so that the larva surviving rate will increase. So these are some modern development. So I hope you are familiar with the aquaculture now. Further aquaculture में जैसे trout culture है, there is carp culture, prawn culture, will be discussing that in the next video lecture. And if you understand something from the lecture, do like this video. And if you have any question or query, please feel free to comment it down. And further, if you are new to the channel and you want to be a part of it, subscribe to it. And lastly, I know the videos are not coming in regular manner. I'm very sorry about that. Some things are going on in my life also, but I will try to keep up so that I post regularly. All the best for your exam, and I will see you all in the next video lecture very soon.